They say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they all want the name, but they ain't got what's running through these veins. Make way for the king.
What's up, guys? How is everybody doing? I hope the off season is going well for you. It is Beck here, of course, back with you. Prowled Panthers Podcast time again after what feels like it has been a while. Realistically, I think it's only been about a month, but I started this thing up because I eat, breathe, sleep High Point basketball, and I just love talking about it. I love following it. It's definitely one of my pastimes. And so these last little bit of 30 days or so that we've been away, it feels like it's been dragging a little bit, but excited because now we're back here. Probably sporadically, I'll say, on the front end, going through what is quote unquote the off season right now in college basketball. I can tell you, the mainstay of activity, where maybe we were able to do these more regularly, and you'll hear from stuff at teedoffsports.com more frequent, probably around June. June is when, the team will start doing some more of the summer workouts and probably have some practice time that they get a little bit of, I think it's like 8 hours or something along those lines per week. So I'm excited about that too. But in the meantime, we just closed off a transfer portal window in college basketball this last week. And I guess because of, really how well our staff at High Point was prepared. I know how Coach Clayman attacks that time frame, and he really showcased that here. We've got essentially a roster in hand, and with that in mind, I was like, man, let's get out to High Point, hear directly from head coach Flynn Clayman, get his thoughts on all these new guys coming in, perspectives, and how things occurred with that. So that is coming up here. I guess I would be a little foolish if we just kicked off a brand new, season here, the Prowled Panthers podcast, without looking back for just a second in admiration of what, again, we were able to accomplish in our program history. Without a doubt, last year's season topped High Point University basketball ever, what we've ever been able to do. Nothing at all taken away from those NAIA days with Jerry Steele. Nothing taken away from even, honestly, when I was around. I guess I could say we were competitive, but we also had arguably one of the best players that we've ever had in High Point University basketball history on the team. Nothing taken away from Scott Cherry days when we were at least regular season Big South champs. But you look at just like the past 2 years here, where finally under Alan Huss, we broke through the ceiling to get an NCAA tournament berth by being the Big South champ. Somehow in year one of Flynn Clayman, the continuity looked flawless, and we were able to not only take that championship in the conference home again, but we were able to take what we did the year before by just getting to the NCAA tournament. We built off of that. Yeah, you win a round of 64 game. You beat Wisconsin. You're a Cinderella story. You're basically America's darling of the whole NCAA tournament, while remaining immensely competitive against Arkansas in the round of 32. That, of course, all happened before Michigan went on to win the national title, but it was a run that will be unforgettable again for me. And you just look back on that and you're like, these are the good old days, boys. You cannot just take this kind of time and this stuff for granted. And I'll say, as we try to turn the page here, we look forward and excited about what's to come. You look at this roster that the staff has compiled, and, we've got 14 scholarship guys here where we're pretty well set again. It looks like we've been able to reload. Flynn and his staff has put us in really good shape off of the transfer portal. And so we definitely want to talk about that because we start a whole new, journey now. Hard to get away from what like I said, we're able to look back at and admire, but that technically is in the rear view window now. Looking out the front mirror, you got, I guess, other Big South teams. They gave up on the idea of Johnson City being an extra obstacle for High Point basketball, because for the third straight year, the Big South Championship title game will have to run through Johnson City. Might as well consider that another home venue for us. So we'll take that and run. That's great. Thank you for returning there again. But out that front window, you got that. You got a whole regular season, plus, the conference schedule. And we have to kind of clear the slate, sadly, and say, all right, it's new beginnings, but they look bright. That is for certain. So here today, Proud Panthers podcast time. Of course, stick along with us throughout the season, teedoffsports.com, exclusive stuff all throughout, just like today's time spent with head coach Flynn Clayman.
It's so good to catch up with head coach of our High Point Panthers, Flynn Clayman. Flynn, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm good. Better now that we're actually talking some hoops again. I feel like the time that we've had away, it's been refreshing for me. Probably not so much for you, because as soon as you get done with a national championship game, portal opens wide open. I'm super proud, and I think it goes unrecognized and noticed a lot of times at how fast you and the staff got to work. Just hit it from the ground running, didn't wait. There's teams still sitting out there today now that the portal's closed, kind of finicky and playing around with some things. No offense, but I just feel like that's the way they handled it. So you guys had to get immediately to work. Probably didn't have the rest that I've had. But before we dive deep into this roster a little bit, because I think that's what everybody really wants to hear about, have you had a chance, I guess, to, take a deep breath, look back on obviously winning in the NCAA tournament, beating Wisconsin, going toe-to-toe with Arkansas, all the things that were accomplished? Can you kind of just take a deep breath and acknowledge that somewhat?
Yeah, I mean, I like you said, it's been real busy since the season, and even like that whole Final Four weekend and all the events with that was a lot. It's just different now, and then you add on the publicity of the national stage that we were on. But I think really I didn't feel a full deep breath till the portal closed.
Yeah,
24 hours ago, a little over 24 hours ago. Then you're like, all right, take a deep breath. And then obviously we're feeling that we're in a better spot than most in terms of where our roster is right now. Really pretty much have our team set. So feeling good.
I'll say, we were shooting it that you got out to the golf course, swung the club a little bit. It's exactly what I would do now that I'm able to kind of collect myself a little bit. But I'm saddened to hear we're not going to be able to be playing partners in the Panther Club golf tournament coming up. It doesn't seem you got better fish to fry than to watch me struggle on the greens. So tell us, your USA Basketball, I think, reached out.
Yeah. So they have a coaches clinic, and I was, fortunate enough to be invited to that. So, USA Basketball is going to come first a lot of times for when you get a call from them to participate in anything, you got to go. That's part of your deal. So I'm really excited about that, and looking forward to it.
So portal closed. We, like I said, jumped out, got a lot of great work done. I don't even know, where to start, because there's so many names. I think for me, as I look at this, it's been pretty clear for the past 3 years now, if you include this roster, that depth is deep and there's lots of options. There's a lot of different ways that you could play the roster. I think there's a lot of different strategies, with how you could put together a 5 rotation at any given moment that could probably confuse some people. So I'm excited about that too. But I want to start with the guys that came back, I think. Just because there's no guarantee in that this day and age anymore. You could say Braden being, younger and sticking with a school for now this would be 3 years. Cam, unbelievably talented. I think without question, his talent is on par with any Power 5 school, and yet he's decided to stay here at High Point. And Conrad, we saw him play toe-to-toe with Rob, and I know Rob gets a ton of recognition, as he should, from the NCAA tournament, but Conrad was right there, very well trusted guard, as you well know. So, how did you do this Houdini to keep these guys as opposed to them taking off and going to greener pastures?
Yeah, I mean, we've had really good retention, rates here in terms of people we've really wanted to keep in the program, because especially guys who transferred in, they know that it's not necessarily greener,
right?
Because it's pretty green here.
Yeah.
And so Cam obviously had a great experience with some up and down parts of the regular season, but how it all finished off was kind of what we all wanted and what he wanted. And just having been through what he's been through, he's looking at the chance now to stack 2 good seasons in a row when he had 5 seasons of just either not playing at all or playing minimal amounts and getting hurt. And when you can play 2 good years in a row, now you kind of set yourself up for a good professional career. You show people like, all right, I'm on track. I can do this consistently for a long time, and he's going to have a great season. So to get him back was fantastic. Everybody saw that he can compete on the national level. He's kind of that difference maker with the talent. Braden, love having him back. He was the big surprise of the season. Definitely. I'm looking at him right now through this window, just getting done working out. Actually, he's got a full sweat going. So really proud of him. I mean, he had the biggest odds against him in terms of guys who got minutes. And we were honest with him in the offseason about it, that it was going to be an uphill battle and that if he wanted to come back, he was going to have to fight that battle. And we even looked at him as a scout team guy potentially for this team. And he played himself out of that quickly and then, played himself into his starting spot about in our 12th game of the year. And then when that happened, we won 22 out of 23, I believe, before we ended up losing to Arkansas, and he was a big part of that. So great shooter, high IQ guy, and really an underrated defender with his positioning. And then Conrad, I mean, how great of a start to the season he had. He was remarkable. He'll tell you like the end of the year wasn't his best. He had some personal stuff going on that, we don't need to talk about, but I have all the confidence in the world that what you saw at the beginning of the year through the middle of the year is who he really is. And he'll just be a whole nother year better too. I mean, you got to remember he was coming off 2 seasons of not playing that much either. So that was him dusting the rust off, so to speak. Like, I think he's going to have a big, big season for us. He's an all-conference caliber talent. And then Caden Miller was a guy who was really kind of physically ready to play as a freshman, which is rare. And then mentally he was, close. It was like maybe a step slow on some scout stuff was really the only reason he didn't get more minutes. But I've seen this happen enough where a guy like him with his physical attributes, he's going to take a big, big, big leap from freshman to sophomore year. Athletic guy who's going to catch lobs, rebound, be an enforcer. So we're excited about all 4 of those returners.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me about Caden. I knew coming into this I was going to forget somebody.
And we got to mention Kaysen too. Kaysen Kruger coming back, like great point guard, like good shooter. He's the hardest worker. He leads our culture and work and all that. So, those are 5 scholarship returners that we're really excited about.
That's why you're the man. You got everything under control. You can just see that. This is why I wanted to be a college basketball coach. Quickly learned it's like, I can't keep track of all this. I'm just lucky to get here on time. So I know, we've got all the transfer portal guys that just rapid fire want to get your first take on it. Everybody realistically needs to keep in mind, none of these guys have been in our gym yet per se, consistently yet. So, it's early yet, but just to try to get a feel. Before we do that though, you also have some players that, from a scouting perspective, your staff has had your eyes on them, and they're new incoming young guys like Trey Pearson and Alex, and maybe some others that I'll let you mention the names and give us updates on before we get to some of the portal acquisitions.
Yeah, so our early signees that we had signed before the year, and then one came late here. Trey Pearson was the leader in assists on the EYBL 2 years in a row, and then was the starting point guard on a back-to-back championship team. So the EYBL is the Nike League. It's for people who don't know, it's the best talent really by far. I mean, some of these other are really good and have really good, NBA stars in them. But in terms of depth, just all around talent depth, no one would deny that the EYBL is the top division. So to have him come in here is a big time get for us. He's a guy who's going to be ready to play as a freshman. Alex from Greece, he played at the same high school as Bodo in California for a couple years. He's a really tough, hard-nosed guy who was one of the best players coming out of Greece. He's a 3-star kid. Trey is a 4-star kid. And then we signed 2 guys who are playing in the men's league, so to speak, out there in Europe. So Jared Gray is playing in the top division of German basketball and in the Euro Cup. And then Yusuf Trayor is playing currently in Spain in the top division of Spanish basketball also. So those guys are a little different. They may come in as they're still doing some paperwork with how many years they have. So they might be sophomore, they might be freshmen. That's not fully decided yet with the new rules on how they're handling that. But we know that they'll be on the team and they'll be on the younger side of what their eligibility is.
High Point University basketball coach Flynn Clayman joining us here. Really, now that he's had a chance to take a breath, I'm making him do work again. So I appreciate the time, Flynn. This I know is kind of weird to think about, but these guys that are coming in internationally, I know that we finished up a Big South championship. We're trying to look to an NCAA tournament. You've got planning to do, you've got visits to try to, take into consideration, and you guys are still working actively with these guys when maybe, other fans and other teams wouldn't realize to do that. I don't know if you can just share how you think these moves in advance like you do. I'm impressed that we're that prepared when, you could see it as a time to be focused on something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of being prepared and being at a place like High Point, and just having the obviously great run over 3 years that we've had, and then to have the tournament run that we had. We saw a great opportunity to capitalize quickly. And we capitalized pretty quickly in the portal last year when we just got to the tournament for the first time, because we had a ton of momentum. So we signed a few guys pretty quick after that. This year was even quicker. I would say we're probably equally prepared as we've been the last few recruiting cycles. It's just that we hit on every top target that we wanted. We got 5 visits and we had 5 commitments. Usually it's more like 5 visits and 3 commitments, or if you're in a different place, like a different time, a different, level that I was at, like you're probably having 5 visits and getting 1 commitment, right? And the whole process takes a little longer. But with us having the momentum we had, and just really when you get down to the player development that we've had the last few years with these transfers, and you can lay out the numbers of offensive efficiency before guys got here and after they got here, that's really kind of pushes guys over the edge in terms of, okay, this is the total package. I got the 5-star resort. I got a great offense to play in, well supported financially, but I'm going to get better as a player. That's proven now. We're really able to show that to guys on visits, and it leads to pretty quick commitments.
Before we give a look at some of the portal guys, would you say, the run in the NCAA tournament, on top of all the luxury items, that are already working for us, that made finding and acquiring some of these guys a little bit easier?
No question about it. I mean, it took us to a different category of recruiting. It just did, where kids are really seeking you out instead of the other way around. So that was fun to see. That was a build up from, a lot of hard work, a lot of great players, a lot of guys that we had to reach out to first, and now they're reaching out to us a lot of times. So it's just a credit to all involved.
What do you think of the transfer portal rulings right now? There's a tough mystery for just the common fan, even like myself, to try to follow. I mean, there's players that have been on our team, and gone through even senior night celebrations, so to speak. And it's like, well, they're in the portal. Do they have the eligibility left? And I know there's plans to possibly give players 5 years of time. How do you just keep up with all this?
Yeah, I mean it's almost impossible, because stuff changes on a whim. So you do the best you can with what you know, and we're in a position to sign a really good team pretty quickly. Obviously, if everybody in the country gets a fifth year, that's not ideal for us, but it's better than us sitting here hoping that rules go in your favor type thing. You sign a good team, and you roll with it, and the way I look at it is if everyone gets a fifth year, and I'd be happy for those guys if that happened, we'd have a really good chance at a lot of retention that a lot of schools wouldn't, for a second year, because all these guys most of our guys are fourth year seniors here that would have a chance at a fifth year, and we'd have a chance to have a multi-year run with some of these guys.
So let's start talking about, man, where do I begin? Some of these newcomers. I'll just run through if you want to give most of the intel of thoughts. Franquan Sherman, somebody that, I feel like you lose somebody like Terry Anderson. You need somebody that could fill a similar style of play. I don't know if that's fair to be thinking that route.
Yeah, he's very similar. He's a lefty, also similar size. Actually a little taller. Was seeing him on his visit. The highest rebounder in Conference USA by far. And that's fun for me.
Yeah,
right there. You'll see as we go through these guys, and we did like Traore from Spain's a great rebounder, and then Jared Gray from Germany is a 6'10" wing now, who's a good athletic rebounder. But then all these transfers are really good rebounders, like some of the better in the country. Sherman is about the best, and his offensive rebounding is off the charts. I mean, he's going to add a whole nother layer there. He's similar offensive skill package to Terry. Can get downhill, can dunk on people, can shoot the open shot. But just a very good comparison there.
You've got another forward also coming in, Isaac Garrett, more of a veteran leader that could come in, similar to, the only reason I say Owen is the sense that they've both played in some, upscale competition, and they've got some years of experience with them coming.
Yeah, and he has some similar skills to Owen with his passing ability, his dribbling ability. He's a skilled big guy. He can shoot the open shot. So he'll bring a lot of that same stuff. He's a good athlete. He's catching lobs. He's just a good player. I mean, to average 14 and 7 as a D1 center, and he had, 20 and 10 against Michigan and UCF, and another game against, I forgot, I think it was Robert Morris, where he had like 30 and 15. Kid can just play. He can play. He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he was a little overlooked out of high school too. Like, he had to go to JUCO to even get on to a Division I school. So I like guys like that.
I like that he wore jorts, and I think like one of the pictures that he released, he's got the jeans on, he's got the skater stuff going. That's a cool look, man. We had, of course, I always joked around with Scotty and his scooter last year. Maybe we'll have a skateboarder, rolling around campus this next year. Back into the guards. Let's go with CJ Brown. He's going to be somebody hard to miss, I think, because the highlight reels, I feel like, are going to come pretty fast and furious.
Yeah, so, a guy who was highly sought after by high majors, easily could have gone to a lot of high major programs, wanted to run the show here. He played for Ben Fletcher, our assistant coach at South Florida. So that relationship was there. That really helped a lot. They had a great relationship. I was able to kind of map out how we've used guards and our success with guards, which has obviously been elite here. So that was appealing to him also. The best player comparison for him would be like a Russell Westbrook, in his prime type guy. Like, he is that athletic. He's at point guard, but he's a head above the rim, catching lobs, putting people in the posters, point guard, but he's also a great passer. And then he also rebounds the ball well too. So you're talking about a guy who averaged, it was about 12, 5, and 5 on the champions of the American Conference, which is a very good conference, for a really well-coached team, for a team that probably the most popular upset pick, and, just a really good basketball team that he was the starting point guard on. So he's going to be a fun one to have.
I know you can't say this, so I'm going to say it, for me. I don't know when Louisville was trying to be guard you, but I'm thinking it's more safe to say right here in High Point, 3-4 years here, you can just look back, the guard combos that we've run out are just, they're awesome. And this is going to be another example of that, I feel like. The other couple of guards incoming. Liam Campbell, called Baby Bird. So feed me like, Papa Bird or whatever you want to say here on what to expect from Liam.
Yeah, so Liam shot 53% from three last year. It wasn't a ton of attempts, but it was still over 50 attempts. He was a 4-star ranked prospect out of high school who was originally committed to USC before he went to St. Mary's. Obviously, St. Mary's is a perennial, hovering in the top 25 range program. And so for him to get 18 minutes a game as a freshman there, and then to score 15 points in their NCAA tournament game, he's just a really good player. And I've seen him play since he was a freshman in high school for his Idaho AAU team. Just when I was on the West Coast before coming out here, I've seen him play since he was a freshman, and he's always been a really hard playing guy. Like I think that's something that, you could compare that to a Larry Bird. Is like he's going to dive on the floor head first. He's going to be scrappy, all those things. And then he's got some of that game where it's like playing off his skill more than his athletic ability, but he's probably a better athlete than people give him credit for. But he's just a great shooter, super high IQ, hard playing dude.
And last but not least, from new transfer guys, Jason Rivera-Torres. Size at the guard spot during your time of taking over as head coach, I feel like has been pretty consistent, and it's a good luxury to have. And the talent from Jason Rivera-Torres is... I know that the rules and the voting of all this kind of stuff, and I could say the same thing about a number of these different guys, but just to add the comment, I feel like that should be an all Big South caliber style player at preseason voting. I don't know how they work that out, but just speak to his game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that he would be, just with the rules of the voting. If you come in and you were all conference in the league you came from, you can be voted on here. So we had Rob and Scotty who were voted on last year, so I'd imagine he'll be in that group too. But Jason's just like a Swiss Army knife guy, who again really rebounds. He averaged over 7 rebounds a game, but he also averaged 16 points a game. Was pretty efficient with it. Was also blocking shots and getting steals. So he's like a 6'7", 2-3-4, but when we're saying 4, we're saying like, kind of how we used Kamani type 4, where he's kind of like a point forward. So just highly, highly sought after. Again, a guy who could have really signed with some blue blood programs that look like not even high major, but like very good high major. He's a kid. He's a very high character kid too, that I think will continue to lead our culture. That was something that really drew us to him. So really excited about using him in a multitude of ways.
So when do you get these guys here? What are y'all's plans to try to start obviously working them into the system? It's again a good thing that you got Cam, you got Conrad, you got Caden, you got Kaysen. Who am I forgetting now? Probably somebody, but you got all these returners, Braden, to kind of lead that for you a little bit as well.
Yeah, so we get going about June 1, and so guys get here, right before that. Some get here a couple weeks before, just depending, but they have to be here at least a couple days before June 1, and then we get going with our normal summer plan. We have 8 hours of work a week in terms of mandatory stuff that we have, and then everything outside of that is guys just working on their own. We have a really good culture of guys wanting to get on here on their own, get in here with GAs, get in here on the shooting machines. So it's we've won our last 2 championships in the summer for sure. The last 2 summers that I've been a part of here at High Point have been the best summers of any program that I've been a part of as a player or coach. And so we got to just replicate that summer again and understand how important that is.
What kind of golf wager can we put on here? I got to get you now. You're so good at everything. It wouldn't be basketball oriented. So I got to get you now while I can actually beat you. My putting needs a lot of work. So some kind of golf wager. We got to figure this out.
Anything you want to win is what you should put on the line. You got a 100% chance of winning.
Yeah. How about, I got a good, this is great. I don't think that you need this. I'll just be like a team liaison for anything and everything. Any way to just be, hanging around. Yeah. We can put that on the line.
That'd be a good one.
All right, cool. Flynn Clayman, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time here, giving High Point fans a good look at the roster you've already put together. Hopefully you'll get a little bit more time to kind of take a deep breath before June 1, and looking forward to seeing the schedule ahead and all the other stuff for this next season.
Thanks for having me.
even in their quote unquote off times, it is greatly appreciated that Flynn, the staff, everybody there, we give some time. So we appreciate catching up with them, just looking at what they've been able to do, and we're ready to pounce once the portal opened, national championship night. No playing around, no trying to play little games with agents and families and decisions and all this other stuff that you could easily get sucked into like quicksand. Again, the preparation, the mentality to be ready. And you heard there in the time that we even spent talking, we're winning a Big South championship, getting ready to go to another NCAA tournament, and our staff is being sent out on trips, and they're communicating with different guys, and that type of work again is something that you have to stand back and applaud, and it is not lost, I guess, on me for sure. So that was Proud Panthers podcast number 1 in the books. Like I said, these will be kind of sporadic. We'll most definitely be back on top of things again this next season, with actually much more on the way for that, we hope. So stay tuned, like you should be doing, teedoffsports.com. And of course, looking forward to seeing you again the next time.